Hey everyone, Adrian here. There's something that's broken, and since I'm fixing it, I thought I would just share it with you in case you run into it in your adventures. So once upon a time, there was a PV, and this PV was bound to an NFS backend. And then the NFS backend went away. Oh no. Well, that's okay, because it's Kubernetes, so all we need to do is start a new NFS server. But persistent volumes for NFS shares have their IP address hard-coded, which means that even though we built a new NFS server, it's not going to change. So what we actually have to do is export the PV and the PVC, and then we have to blow away the PV and the PVC. I just didn't feel like drawing it. And then we have to recreate a new one pointing at the new NFS server. And as long as we have a few things set up along the way, this probably won't result in anything other than a little bit of downtime. So over here, I've got a terminal. And you can see this one that is the last one that remains. I've already fixed all the rest of these. So this one remains. You see that it's bound, and it's bound to this PVC right here. Oops, sorry, this PV. Rancher does this thing where it names PVs PVC dash, and it always confuses me. If we go and take a look at that, we can see down here that it is stuck on the old server path. And I can demonstrate that we can try and edit this and point it at the new one, and it's just not gonna work because that's an immutable field. So what we need to do is make sure that the reclaim policy is set to retain. As long as the reclaim policy is set to retain, when we delete the PVC and delete the PV, Kubernetes won't delete the actual backend content. And if you're not confident about this, you can go ahead and make a backup of the data anyway. I've done it both ways, and it's gonna be fine. So we need to actually export this. Yeah, you see I have it in my history. So we'll export the PVC, and then we'll export the PV. And you see I'm using kubectl neat here to just clean up the stuff that's inside of it. Let's go take a look now at the PV. And we want to take out this entire claim ref section. I'm going to actually copy this to my clipboard just in case. And first I was actually doing this, but if you do that, it's going to get stuck bound to a non-existent claim. So just actually delete the whole entire thing. And update this to point to the new NFS server that I built. The rest of this is just the existing Ganesha block for the config and stuff. As long as you're using the same PV and you're just reinstalling it, then this is fine. So we'll save that. And now comes the scary bits, where we have already scaled down the replicas for this particular deployment to 0. We'll just check that. All right, so yeah, we're 0, that's good. So let's first delete the PVC. And then let's go back and delete the PV. Okay. And now let's recreate them. There's one more thing we need to do. This, I don't actually know if this matters. No, it's not there. It's here where it said bind completed yes and bound by controller yes. Let's just take that out entirely. First we drop the PV back in. Goes in with the same name, everything, just the NFS server IP address is different. And then we run this. And it's bound. Sometimes that'll stay pending for a little bit, but bound, great, we're super happy. Scale that up. Maybe. Tab completion? Yeah? No? There we go. Except I deleted 2 of the characters now. Would have been faster if I'd just copied it. Hey, okay, great. So in the time that it took to think about tab completion, it's actually up and running, and we have no issues. So there you go. If for some reason you clobber your NFS server, now this is not an external NFS server, this is actually NFS server provisioner running inside of the cluster, which is how I broke it. Because it was a really, really old version, because NFS is kind of persnickety, so I was just leaving it alone. And then the other night I went and decided to upgrade it, realized that all the Helm repos had moved and it was all just big gnarly nastiness. And in the process of trying to point it at another Helm repo, it just choked. So I had to delete it and reinstall it, and that changed its IP. So if you're running NFS either in server or out of the server and the IP changes, you may have to do this. And as long as your reclaim policy is set to retain, you shouldn't have any issues. Good luck. Stay caffeinative.